Hey Townies, today in honor of our 50th subscriber milestone, we're going to be making a tier list of all of the Town of Salem roles. We are going to be sorting them into S, A, B, C, D, and F tier. We're going to start by working our way with what we think is the worst role, and then going in reverse order all the way up to the number one role in Town of Salem. This is just our personal opinion. There's no facts behind any of this. You can disagree with whatever you want, but I'm going to be ranking these based on kind of how fun they are, how powerful they are, kind of a mix of those two things. We're just going to jump right into the role list here. We are going to start off with what I think is the worst role in the game, Illusionist. I think Illusionist is one of the least fun roles to play. I think its utility is not that special. I think if you're going to be Coven, you're going to want to be almost any other Coven role. I think that it just being able to make another Coven member appear as not suspicious or not blood, I think that just making other people better is not really what you want to do in a game like this. I think you want to have a little bit more agency if you're playing a role that you're going to have to fake claim. But I think Illusionist usually just gets handed the book and then they say, do the work, do the killing for us. So very rarely will an Illusionist find itself to be as useful as probably any other Coven role. But following up, Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver just sucks. Like you get in as a Dreamweaver and you're like, okay, if there's not a Voodoo Master, I feel pretty useless. Insomniac can be very powerful, but the fact that it gets countered just by any townie visiting the role, someone's going to come out and say, I was Dreamweaved. And then there's a 95% chance that someone on the town side is going to visit that role, and all of a sudden the Dreamweave is just completely useless. If you somehow get paired up with a Voodoo Master, it can be very helpful, but I mean, no one really wants to come into Coven and play as a Dreamweaver. It just isn't fun, and it's not very powerful. It also ends up getting the book a lot of the times, unless it has a Voodoo teammate. So next up, third last, probably not surprising, Baker. It is by far the worst neutral apocalypse. You just get countered by your breads dying. Your bread could die by getting hanged. It could get killed by someone else. You just are very slow. If your bread dies, you just feel so bad. The Baker roll, once it transforms into Famine, it stops the game completely. It's basically like a soul collector. But then if you've breaded the wrong people, you're just out of luck. Like if you bred 3 confirmed town rolls, or heaven forbid you accidentally bred more than one Coven, if you're solo, you get down to the last people in the game, you've breaded 3 people, you breaded the wrong people, and suddenly you're just outed as Famine and you just lose. So always tough being a Baker. I don't think any of these 3 as worst roles in the game are very controversial, but I don't know, maybe the next one might be, but I think it's Spy. I think Spy is the worst town investigative. It is so niche in what you are able to be useful as. You can see what role visits, but you don't know who that role is. You pretty much have to be having a lookout go on the same person as someone you've bugged. The only good thing about Spy is that your bugs stay for the whole game, but if you see someone is visited by a plague bearer, cool. You know there's a plague bearer in the game. Not much you can do unless that plague bearer has claimed tracker or is claimed lookout, but it just does not feel good being a spy. I think all the other town investigatives have their place, but spy just feels so bad. The odds that you're going to be useful just feel so low compared to all the other roles. There's only one town investigative role that I think might be worse, and it's the one that's next on the list. It's Coroner. Coroner is just so slow. You get just completely useless if no one dies, and B, if the killer ends up dying. Someone finds the Coven killing and they get hanged, boom, you're back to being useless. Coroner can be so powerful being able to say, boom, this person's the killer. If one person is killed by more than one roll, that can just elevate your game to the next level. But you can be just so useless so quickly and for so long that it just feels bad to play. So Corner, definitely next on the list. This one might be one of the first controversial takes, but I think Sheriff is an awful role. I think it is clearly F tier. I think Sheriff, Corner, and Spy are boom, 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 the three worst town investigatives. Sheriff, the reason goes ahead of Corner and Spy is that it can be very useful in the early game. You can find someone as sus, but I've said this in videos. I think that you can really only ever find a max of 3 people that are worth finding. You don't really care if you find neutral evils like a Doomsayer, an Executioner, or a Pirate. Like, if you find them sus, like, good, they're not that helpful. The only people you're going to be able to find are the 3 Coven who don't have the book, if there are 4 Coven. And then if there are more than one neutral Apocalypse, you'll be able to find them. But I just think Sheriff is just so bad. It feels so bad. The longer you go into the game, the worse it feels because as evils start dying, especially Coven, you're going to be useless. You're not going to be able to find the Coven with the book. You might find the Coven, but if he has a book, you're screwed. And then not being able to find neutral killers, like, there's just so many roles that you want to find that you could find, but then you find them inno because they're neutral killing, or they're Coven with the book, or they're a solo Apocalypse. So I think Sheriff being down here in F tier with Corner and Spy. Those 3 are probably interchangeable. Maybe Sheriff is a little bit better than Corner and Spy, but I think Sheriff is just terrible. It just feels so bad. Next up on the roll list in F tier is going to be the Shroud. Shroud is probably inarguably the worst neutral killing. Like, the only good thing that it has is the astral visits, and if you can shroud a seer, you can get a double kill. But all the other roles, werewolf, serial killer, and arsonist, just feel better to play. Like, being a solo shroud, it's just gonna hurt so bad. It's just gonna hurt so bad when you hit defense. Like, your gimmick is the astral part. But if you shroud someone and they don't visit, you're no longer astral. So it just is not the best neutral killing. Everyone hates being Shroud, and I don't think that's the controversial take at all. Next up, I think we're starting to get into a little bit harder decisions. I'm gonna say Admirer. Admirer, the new Admirer, where you get obsessions. It just doesn't feel as good as other town roles. It can be powerful if you find your obsession and protect them, but finding your obsession to start off with sucks. Then, if your obsession dies, you get a new one and you basically have to start all over. The fact that so many admirers or so many evils fake claim as an admirer, and you say, "Oh, I found my obsession," and people are just like, "What's the proof?" Like, there's really no way to prove that you're an admirer unless you save someone. And finding them and saving them, it just doesn't feel as helpful as other town protects, where you can just stay on a good person. Let's say your obsession is a vet, and you're like, okay, there are 3 TK claims. If the vet alerts and I go check them, I'm dead. But if you get like a TI, that helps. They're gonna open claim, but if there's more than one TI, you have to go through each TI and find them, and games just move so quickly that Admire can feel very bad. And the fact that it's an easy fake claim for evils just kind of makes it a little bit lower on the list, just because no one's going to believe you if you're an admirer. Going in tandem with that, the last role in F tier is Oracle, kind of for the same reason. It's such an easy fake claim. You can't protect the same role more than once in a row. Like, yes, it can confirm someone as a TI if you save them, and you can say, "Oh, I know you're confirmed in like investigator," but it just really is just too easy of a fake claim for evils. You see soul collectors always faking. You see basically any evil role that doesn't visit will basically default to Oracle. Even visiting evil roles will default to Oracle a lot, just because it is so easy to fake claim. You can't protect, like, if you know there's a jailer in the game, you protect them one night, next night they die because you couldn't save them, and it just feels so bad. The reason I'm putting it above Admirer is that it can save more than one roll at a time. That's actually an achievement, but being able to save more than one roll at a time it's very niche, but just that ability where you're not set on one person can be very situational, and it can actually change the tides of a game. But that's gonna do it for F tier. If you've noticed, we're gonna have 9 rolls in each tier. So we're gonna go through, put our 9 rolls in. I'm not going to be doing the neutral apocalypse rolls as they're when they transform. So Baker is gonna stay down here. Yes, it can be more. Famine is going to be more powerful than Baker, but I just don't really see the point of putting Baker of judging the neutral apocalypse roles any differently than they already are. And I'm gonna leave out Curse Soul and Vampire because they I they're outliers, so they're not really going to be involved in the normal gameplay that you see in all any. And this is basically just an all any tier list, I would say. Obviously, I if you watch my videos, you know that I really only play all any. The only variations that you see on my channel are all any fools mode and then true all any's when Curse Soul and Vampire get added into the game with the other outliers. But we're just gonna stick with vanilla all any for this tier list. So those are the F tiers. Now we're gonna move on to D tiers. All right, getting into the D tier, we are going to put in Tavern Keeper as our first entry into D tier. I think Tavern Keeper has its place of usefulness, but I honestly don't think it's that fun to play. You can very easily rollblock the wrong person. You can be fake claimed if you are a poisoner. So poisoners very, very often go as a Tavern Keeper claim. You can really mess up some good rolls. You could rollblock the wrong person on the wrong night, and if you rollblock a serial killer, you're dead unless they go cautious. But very rarely do serial killers go cautious, I feel like. But yeah, being Tavern Keeper, it just doesn't feel good to play. Like all the other roles I feel like above Tavern Keeper feel good to play. I just go into a game as Tav and I'm just like, yeah, I guess I'll be Tavern Keeper. You can rollblock a suspicious Coven member or someone who is suspected to be Coven, and you might get them, but like they could hand off the book. They you could just not you could rollblock a TI, so it just doesn't feel good. And at the end of the day, this is a game you want to feel good, you want to feel like you're doing a lot, and I feel like as a Tavern Keeper, you just don't feel that way a lot. Next up, we're gonna put in Socialite. Again, same thing as Tavern Keeper. You can really mess up some town investigatives, and Socialite, I would say even more so. You can mess up town investigatives because if someone claims T-Pow and someone wants to use them as like a seer, you go on them as Socialite, and you just derail that whole T-Pow. The reason I'm putting it above Tavern Keeper is I think it has its place as a town protect. So you're role blocking other people, you can save someone. I feel like Socialite acts a bit more as a town protect, but being able to go on a specific person as a town protect and save them from anyone, you could save them from a Vigi, you could save them just like basically any other town protect. But again, I feel like no one loads into a game and wants to play Socialite. Like they just get it and they're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll save someone. Uh, but you're just basically just gonna go on people who ask for TP, important people, but it basically just serves the same role as a town protect. But you do get into that way where you can block a TI and make the TI not as useful. So that's where Socialite goes. Next up, this one might be a little weird, but I'm gonna put Monarch in. I think Monarch is the worst town power role. I think it can lose games a lot more often than it can win them because when you know someone is confirmed, you knight them, you gain the defense, they get an extra vote, but more often than not, that knighted person is going to die, and the longer they live, the higher odds are that they're gonna be evil, and then you're like, okay, I've Monarch, I've Knighted Evil. What do I do? Now we're down to the end of the game. Yeah, I have defense, but they have the votes, and I feel like Monarch is just misused by a lot of people. I think that Monarch is clearly the worst T power roll, and I think it really deserves its spot down here in D tier. Um, yeah, I think it loses more games than it wins. And the random knighting night one just to get that defense, I don't think is worth it in 90% of the cases. So, yep, that's my place on Monarch. Now, next three, I'm gonna put Arsonist, I'm gonna put Serial Killer, and I'm gonna put Werewolf. These three are very interchangeable. I think this kind of goes along the same lines of Socialite and Tavern Keeper, where people don't want to play these roles. People don't like playing neutral killing roles. The reason they're so high or they're so far above Shroud, though, is that they have their place to kill anyone. Werewolf, although they can only do it on full moon, so night 2, 4, and onward. Ooh, excuse me. 4 and onwards, you get that powerful rampaging attack. Like, that feels good. Serial killer, you can kill from night 1, and then if you kill 2 people, you can do a rampaging powerful attack. That feels good. Arsonist, you can douse, stay hidden, lay low under the radar, and then boom, you ignite, everyone's dead. It feels good. Shroud doesn't have that. Shroud doesn't have that feel good moment, except maybe if you Shroud a Seer. That is the only case where I feel good being Shroud. And if you've seen me play, if I get Shroud, I'm normally going to play Silent Shroud where I don't kill and just wait till the end and it gets down to a few people and then kill and hopefully get into like down to 3 people and kill the last person. But yeah, just playing Shroud just does not feel as good as a neutral kill other neutral killings. And like with Socialite and Tavern Keeper, like I said, it just feels like no one wants to play. A lot of times, if someone loads in as a neutral killing, they might just DC night or day one. Like before they even load in the game, they see you will enter the game as a werewolf, gone. You will enter the game as a serial killer or arsonist, gone. And they just DC, they don't care. They'd rather take the penalty and play a game as something that they find is more fun. So that's where I put the neutral killings. They do have their place as being more powerful, but you can put those three in any order you want. To be honest, I mean they if you like playing them, they can be A tier. They can maybe even be S tier. But it's just the fact that no one likes playing neutral killings. They'd rather play town, honestly, or they'd rather play coven. They'd rather have teammates that they know are there. They like working together with other people, but it just doesn't feel good to play the neutral killings, in my opinion. Next up, we got Bodyguard. Bodyguard is probably my least favorite town protect. I know I have Oracle lower, but Bodyguard, yes, you save someone, but the fact that you also die doesn't really feel that good. Like, yes, you can take down like a werewolf or serial killer or the coven killing with you, maybe the shroud. Well, actually, the interaction with the shroud is you could kill a townie, but just being a bodyguard, like I don't think it's fun. I think the fact that it can sacrifice itself just hurts it a lot compared to the other roles that are above it in this list. I I just don't like being bodyguard. Basically, all the roles in D and F tier, I don't like playing. Like, I really want to like some roles. I really want to like corner. I really want to like baker. I don't really want to like bodyguard. Yes, you can kill a killing role, but you going down in the process, like, it just doesn't feel as good. Like, if you get into like a low amount of townie versus like one killer, yes, winning the game on that one kill, but I feel like more often than not, you're going to be dying early and then watching from the sidelines. So, uh, next up, we're going to put in Retributionist. Retributionist, again, it can be really powerful if you get a town protect, you can save someone, and it's very versatile. But I honestly would rather play other roles that have more defined uh, roles. So roles that have more defined roles. And Retributionist, if there's more than one and you're trying to use a body and someone else takes it, that feels bad. And some like Retributionist is probably the best role in D tier on how it feels to play them. Um, but I am putting 9 roles in each tier, and this is just where Retributionist happened to fall. I think all the roles above this just feel better to play. You don't get hit with like the Korra or Retri curse where there's no dead bodies or there's no bodies that are useful. Like if you see a seer die, can't use it. If you see any evil die, can't use it. And it just hurts to to feel that kind of in game when you're playing it. So, last role in D tier is going to be Executioner. The fact that the change to Executioner is what puts it in D tier. It used to be where you got to pick someone night one and your goal was to hang them, and then if they died, you got to pick someone new. Now you are automatically given a townie. That townie could easily be a confirmable role, could be a TI that gets confirmed. It can't be a T-POW, so it can't reveal, but it could be like a deputy. It could be like a lookout, which is very easy to confirm yourself. Um, but getting a townie guaranteed, you more often than not want that townie to die and you become Jester. I would say Executioner, by far the worst neutral evil role. I think all the other neutral evil rules feel really fun to play. They having that alternate win condition where you're not trying to kill the rest of the townies or kill the coven or neutral or kill all the evils. Like being an executioner, you'd rather just be jester, right? I feel like I'm not the only person who thinks that. And like it is it if I wasn't doing just 9 in each role or 9 in each tier, I think it would probably be higher, but I think it just doesn't hit the way it used to. And the fact that you don't get to even kill someone like you used to when you tormented someone, now the town just loses a trial, like great. That isn't really rewarding in my eyes. But that's going to do it for D tier. We're going to kick it off with C tier. We're going to kick it off. And this one kind of hurts my soul a little bit, but I got to put Veteran. Veteran, in my opinion, Veteran honestly is one of my favorite roles to play. I like the baiting. I like the power that it can bring, but I understand that Veteran is a very feast or famine role. You kind of have to bait day one and alert, or no one's going to believe you. Veteran is a very easy fake claim. You can just say, oh, I alerted and no one visited me. I'm a veteran. But it has probably, and for me, it has one of the highest highs in the game where you do a great bait, you alert it. I rarely bait on, or I rarely alert on night one, but I'll always bait on night one. But for veteran, if you do a good bait and then you save it to the end of the game and yet kill an evil or you kill multiple evils or you even get attacked, like boom, that dopamine hit can be so massive. But you run into the issue of killing your teammates. You can kill a townie. If you bait and kill a townie, that just does not feel good. And kind of like what I was saying with Executioner, if I was doing more than one role or more than 9 roles in each tier, these tiers everyone would probably shift up a lot. Um, but I think that the veteran can be so fun to play, but it can also just derail the entire game if you kill the wrong person. You could kill a seer, a psychic who thinks you're evil and they're using you for a good vision. But I think veteran has some of the highest highs, but it also has some of the lowest lows. And also that fake claim ability for other roles kind of knocks it down a peg for me. But veteran honestly is probably my favorite role to play, just for those high highs that it brings. Next up, we're gonna bring in the Voodoo Master. So Voodoo Master, its best thing is that it stops someone from voting. Getting that majority, coven majority, one day earlier than you would definitely helps, but Voodoo Master, yeah, you basically just put a huge target on someone's back that says, I'm not Coven. Yes, you can fake claim being silenced, and that is something that, you know, I feel like that has evolved. I feel like a lot of Voodoo Masters are not silencing people like night one or night two and saying, okay, I got voodooed, I'm not Coven, but it just really paints I'm not Coven on someone's forehead. And if you do it to the right person, like if you do it in the end of the game and you get that majority, yeah, it feels good. But like that is such a niche scenario where I feel like if you're at the end of the game and you're getting majority one day earlier, you probably have already won the game as Coven. But being a Voodoo Master, it's just one of those coven roles. It's definitely not as bad as Dreamweaver. It's definitely not as bad as Illusionist, but it just doesn't feel as good as other coven roles. And that's I guess that's kind of a lot of what this tier list is how good it feels and how powerful you feel. Like I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Veteran, it can make you feel really good. It can also make you feel really bad. Voodoo Master, I think it just is just one of those roles you get. And I think honestly, not a lot of people love playing Coven. I feel like a lot of people would rather play Town. And Voodoo Master just doesn't have like that factor that like a Jinx has or a Ritualist or a Witch. Like it doesn't have these moments where you're like, I feel powerful. Like, yeah, you can silence someone, but what does that really do? So because like they'll put it whatever they have in their will or say it the next day. So like really the best thing you do is get Madge one day earlier. Next up, we're gonna put in Crusader. This might be a little controversial. I think that Crusader has its place. I think it's kind of following a similar vein as Veteran, where yes, you can feel really good if you kill a coven, but you're not going to be able to kill the neutral evil or the neutral killings. You might not be able to kill the Apoc if there's only one of them, and you could very easily kill a townie. Like Crusaders don't go on TPLOs because they're afraid they're going to kill a townie, and then if that person ends up dying, you just feel really bad. If you kill any kind of townie, you feel really bad. And people who, if no one asks for a TPLO and you randomly go on someone and randomly kill a townie, that just feels bad. So I'm gonna put Crusader down here. I definitely think it can be really good. It can be really powerful, but I just think the roles above this are just all better. And speaking of better town protects, Trapper. If Trapper didn't have to build their trap, I feel like it would be better. Like maybe they only have to build it once, like not having a night one trap, but the fact that you have to build it just makes it feel so bad. But the fact that it can be basically a confirming role for town, if it basically works as a town investigative as well, if you don't save anyone. You kill the attacker, great. But if you don't and someone else triggers it, you get to see the role that visits. So it's basically working as a spy, but also as a protective role. But you can see town roles visit, so it just elevates that even above spy. Spy can only see evils. Trapper can see good roles. It can confirm a investigator, a seer, a psychic. Psychic is really good to be able to see because psychic is an easy fake claim, but it is more powerful. So that's why psychic's way up there. Um, I guess not way up there, but it's higher up than other town investigatives that have already been put on this list. But Trapper, like it's another one of those feast or famine. You can do really good. You can trap someone you shouldn't have trapped, or if they don't get visited, it just hurts your soul a little bit to play. But that's where I put Trapper. And then we're moving on to the next one, Deputy. I love playing Deputy. I kind of loved it a little bit more when you didn't miss your shot. I feel like animation and then seeing you shot a townie sucked, but I do think it is healthier that you no longer shoot townies unless they're like reaped by a soul collector or enchanted by an enchanter. But Deputy, again, it's one of those easy fake claims. And honestly, it probably this might be the wrong place in the list for it. In fact, I think I might actually move it below veteran, just because you only get one shot. If you miss, it feels really bad. So yeah, I'm gonna move Deputy down. I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I'm gonna move Deputy down. If you miss your shot, it's very easy to fake claim, and while it does have those high dopamine hits, I don't think that it really deserves to be above veteran because you only get that one shot, and if you miss, it just feels so bad. So, uh, but speaking of town killings, hey, here we go, Vigilante. Vigilante, before they had to reload, I probably would put a lot higher, but now having to reload, it just slows you down too much. Like, and if you don't shoot anybody, you'll look really suspicious and you probably get hanged for no reason just because you haven't shot someone. You don't want to take the wrong shot because if you shoot a townie, not only are you down a townie, but now you can't shoot anymore. So, also, if you hit defense, people might think you're fake. Maybe they'll think you're executioner. But I mean, I feel like almost every role can be like, yo, you're executioner. So like I guess that's not really an issue. But being able to shoot three people, it is also easy to confirm yourself. It's not like if you miss your shot as deputy, where you're like, okay, I missed my shot. No one will believe me. If you're Vigi and you shoot a townie, yeah, you put your gun away, but now people know there's a vigilante. So that's why it's definitely a lot higher than a deputy on this list. But moving on, we're gonna move on to a new coven role, Jinx. So moving back into the Coven role, Jinx is low. Yes, it is a Coven killing. It can get you that extra kill, but what keeps it down here is the fact that if you visit someone who gets visited by more than one people, you are automatically outed. That just doesn't feel good to play. You want to go on people who you think get visited, but then when you get outed and people are like, "All right, four's Jinx," it's like nothing I can do, especially if more than one person saw the Jinx. So it definitely has its strategies, but I just feel like there are definitely better roles. We're getting kind of into the middle. This is like the top half. This is basically the top half of the bottom half of the list, or the top part of the bottom half of the list. So by no means are any of these roles like terrible in C tier. They have their place, but there are things that just feel bad about them. So moving on, we're gonna go to Wildling. I feel like this is probably the first role on the list where I'm like, except for one, which we'll get to in a second. But this is the first role on the list where I feel like if I had to play only this role for the rest of my life, I wouldn't be upset. Getting to hear whispers, working as a tracker and a lookout, easy fake claims, like it helps, but that whispering, man, that is just so powerful. You get to get all that extra information, seeing those whispers go through. But yeah, I think Wildling, Coven roles I feel like get a little bit knocked down a peg just because I feel like a lot of people don't like being Coven. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone loves being Coven. But in my opinion, I feel like a lot more people, if they could only play one faction, they would pick Town over Coven. Like every time. I feel like there's so many more people who would say, I would rather be Town than I would rather be Coven for the rest of my time playing. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. But um, Wildling, it's got an easy fake claim. It hears the whispers. It just feels good to play, and I feel like all the roles above this feel good to play, except for one, which I will get to in just a minute. But before we get to that one, Trickster, I feel like Trickster again. I love all the town killings. Town killing is my favorite sub role to play as town. I like deputy, veteran, vigi, trickster, all absolute banger roles to play. The only thing that I feel like knocks them down is how bad it feels to kill town roles. Trickster, runs into the problem of you have to work as a town protect first. You have to save someone before you can kill someone. And, being a town protective, it can hurt if you're not getting going on the right guy. And if you claim, also, again, trickster, easy fake claim. You just say, oh, I haven't absorbed anything. Like, I feel like TK is probably the most faked claim role out of anyone, out of any town list. I feel like that's just my opinion. I feel like TKs are very easy to fake, like veteran, deputy, trickster. I feel like those are all very, very easy to fake. But trickster is honestly might be one of my top three favorite roles. Um, but we'll move on from that. I think trickster has its place. It works as a town protect, then works as a town killing. It just sucks when you don't get any absorptions, and it sucks when you kill a townie who you thought was evil, or when you hit defense. Like it just hurts a lot to feel that way. But all right, that'll do it for C tier. Alrighty, heading into the B tier, and here's probably going to be a very controversial take, but I'm putting Amnesiac. I think the fact that you can become anything, putting it right smack dab in the middle of the list, I think is a perfect spot for it. You don't know what you're going to be before when you load into the game, so you could end up being a jailer, you could end up being a freaking spy, but I think just the unknown aspect means you just got to put it in the middle. I just think that Amnesia can be really fun. It can be really bad, but you know what? Next up, we're going Psychic. A Psychic, very powerful town investigative role. You get to get some quick information with your evil night visions. You can narrow stuff down. I will say it's held back by being a fake claim, a very easy fake claim at that. So the results get messed with for enchanters, uh, soul collectors, jesters even, but sometimes you find people you don't really want to find, like an executioner, or other neutral evils. But it does kind of suck sometimes when your role that you go on someone and someone evil was in your evil vision and they're dead and you're just kind of useless. So that's probably why I didn't put it any higher. But yeah, Psychic, really solid role. I like playing Psychic, but it can be frustrating at times. But I feel like that goes for a lot of roles. So next up, Ritualist. All right, Ritualist, town coven killing. You can snipe revealed roles. It's basically an auto kill. You do now get slowed down if there's a witch or a potion master. You get the illumination, so you can't really see anything, or you can't really kill anyone until that illumination goes away. But it's actually getting all the coven killings are pretty powerful. It is not as bad as it used to, where if you failed your ritual, where you'd get revealed, so that's good. But getting 2 extra kills is very, very powerful. So Rit, nice and high. Next up, we're going Necromancer. The reason Necromancer is so much higher than Retributionist is because it can get those extra kills if any of the neutral killings die or a Berserker dies. Getting that extra kill can be very powerful. That's why it's up there with Ritualist. I don't think it is necessarily as good as some other roles, but I think Necromancer, just the versatility of it, it is very powerful in the right situation. You get the right bodies, you can just take over a game. So yeah, we're gonna put Necromancer right there. Next up, we got Poisoner. Poisoner being an easy fake claim for Tavern Keeper and Socialite. Now that they have the Smog ability, you're protected from getting killed by veterans. Being able to disrupt the other coven or the other town rules is very powerful. But having those fake claims just makes it really easy. And I think Poisoner is one of the more fun roles. You get to really mess with the town. You can end up saving your coven. You can just mess with the TIs. You can mess with neutral killings, get them all out of sorts. Obviously, not the werewolf or serial killer because you kind of get screwed. But if you're in like a low situation, a low people left alive situation, you roll block an arsonist, you just kind of save the day for, or roll block a shroud, save the day for coven. But yeah, I think Poisoner is actually just kind of really fun. Next up, Tracker. Tracker, it kind of falls into a powerful town investigative where it really does confirm people really quickly. If they claim a non-visiting role and you see them visiting, boom, instant outed. It kind of is I would say definitely a weaker lookout, since you don't get to see as many people, because a lookout sees everyone who visits. You unfortunately only get to see one person that you track. But tracker, I think all the town investigatives that are still left to be upped are very powerful. So tracker is going to go there. Next up, we got cleric. Cleric, it's just the most basic town protective role. You go on someone, give them powerful defense, they don't die. You do get one self. I think it is a little bit better than Crusader. I think the fact that Crusader can kill townies, very high risk, very high reward, where Cleric is just like you save someone. If you save them, you're good. If you don't save them, at least you know that they're not getting attacked. But yeah, Cleric, nice and easy town protective role. Next up, we got, where is the Enchanter? Right there. Enchanter is so powerful. I think we're starting to really get into very powerful roles. Enchanter, you get to alter people, you get to alter their wills, you get to mess with the town investigative by making someone look like Coven. Basically, you just throw so much chaos into the game that Enchanter can be really fun, and altering people into different roles, making them negate their whole town investigative by making them look like a jester. Very, very powerful. Next up, we got Dusa. I don't know. I think I might be overrating Dusa a little bit, but stoning people, taking away that information, it's kind of in the same vein as Enchanter. I'm actually going to switch these. I think Enchanter is a little bit more powerful than the Medusa just because of the decept. They're both Coven Deception, but Medusa is an easy book holder, so whereas Enchanter, you might not want them to have the book. So I think Dusa is probably a little bit weaker than Enchanter because Enchanter can get foiled by like hitting a neutral killing, so you kind of lose that forgery. But Dusa, very powerful. And then if you put a stone on your Coven teammates, you might think that the town might think that there are more Coven left than there actually are. So it can be really powerful. But yeah, that's where we're putting Dusa. As you can see, we're now through the bees. Now I think it's already starting to get hard. I think all the roles left are very powerful in the right situation. All roles are pretty powerful in the right situation. But I think the roles that are still left are powerful in more situations than the ones below them. So, and they're probably more fun. Maybe you see Pirate's still left. I think people are going to be a little surprised at where Pirate is. But I think Pirate is probably one of the most fun roles in the game. Next up, we're going Mare. It definitely deserves A tier, but it can just take over a game, especially when you get a town protect on you. Getting those extra votes, it's definitely not the best town power. Pross, Marsh, Jailer, all better, probably by far if we're being honest. But Mayor getting to get that late reveal, get those extra votes, or early reveal and start taking over, take charge. Being Mayor is very fun. You get to be head of the town. People follow you. You get to dictate stuff. And Mayor, definitely, it's power. It's called town power for a reason. Next up, I'm putting Soul Collector. It is probably the role that brings the game to the halt the most. You like Baker and Soul Collector, they bring the game to the halt when they pop. But Soul Collector even more so because if you don't hang the Soul Collector, the game is over. It is also got better than the Baker because it adds that little deception with the reaping. You get to make someone appear as a neutral apocalypse role, so they appear as Soul Collector to enchanters, or not enchanters, potion masters and witches. They the only thing is that it is a little slow, but you're not set back like a Baker is. You are guaranteed to keep the souls you've reaped. But I think Soul Collector is can be one of the most powerful roles in the game, if not the most powerful, just based on how much it affects the game. Just when it pops, like if you don't get them, it's over. And if you play it right, you're gonna make it really difficult. And hopefully there's not like a marshal or a prosecutor, and hopefully you haven't gotten found out. But there's Soul Collector. Next up is Potion Master. Potion Master, very versatile role. You get to give defense, you get to reveal, and revealing is really one of the most powerful abilities in the game. Being able to know exactly what someone is. Obviously, like I just said, Soul Collector can mess with that a little bit, but other than that, you know what someone's role is. You'll be able to out them pretty easily. You can fake claim a lot of TIs. And then also, like I said, giving that defense to literally anyone. You don't have to just do it to Coven, but you could fake a Town Protect. Usually, Potion Masters go for the TI claims, but faking Town Protect rolls is very useful. And in the right situation, saving the right person, you can get easily confirmed, even though you're fake. But Potion Master, I think it's really fun. Getting to use the 3 different potions, all very powerful. But yep, that's where Potion Master is. And here we go. Jester. Jester is this high up because of how fun it is. Not the most powerful role. Is it kind of is easy to get confirmed as Jester because you literally have so many people against you. You literally have 14 other people who are enemies to you. So you could be fake a seer and find a coven and a townie as enemies, or you could fake investigator and accidentally find someone with trespass or murder, and they have both, and you're just kind of confirmed, and then you're like, well, crap. But having these alternate win conditions, changing up the game, makes these neutral evil rolls really fun. The reason I have Executioner down so low, like I said, it getting have an automatic townie target, and then you basically just want to turn into a Jester. But Jester is all the way up here. So Jester, it is here because of how fun it is. Having those alternate win conditions makes the game different. And next up, in that same vein, Doomsayer. Why is this not working? There we go. Doomsayer. Having those alternate win conditions, like I just said, makes the game so much more fun. Obviously, you don't really want to play Jester or Doomsayer every game. Maybe you do, but I personally don't. But I like the nice change of pace. I think Doomsayer is a little bit more fun than Jester, and Doomsayer, it changes the game. It literally changed the way we play the game from Town of Salem 1 to Town of Salem 2. Now, along with Ritualist, you don't want a full claim. You're going to claim alignment, and it gives the evils a lot more leeway to fake claim. But yeah, having these roles in the game where you completely change the way everyone functions, it just makes it one of the best, most fun roles, and it's so satisfying. It is so satisfying when you doom people, when you see that win screen. It is just one of the best things that I feel that one of the best feelings in the game. All right, next PB. Where's PB? There it is. Plague Bearer. Plague Bearer is the most versatile POC role. You're basically a tracker and a lookout in one. Gives you 2 easy fake claims. Unlike SC, you can be seen visiting, so as a lookout or tracker, they can see you if you go for someone. If you go for a different fake claim, maybe you go for a Town Protect, because a lot of times lookouts and trackers can be targets when a Plague Bearer pops into Pestilence, but the ability to transform early can put the entire game on hold. It doesn't put it as much on hold as like a Baker or Soul Collector when they transform, but people will then not visit because they don't want to spread the pest to the wrong person. So it's got a lot of potential behind it. I really like playing Plague Bearer, and then when you turn into Pest and get that killing mode, and then if honestly, if you get called out early and you full claim Pest, you can help town, and I mean you're probably not gonna win, but I mean it is kind of satisfying when you knock out the Coven who outed you for having defense, and then they just kind of have to fall apart because you track and look out everyone. Next up, we're going Berserker. Berserker, killing Apocalypse roll, has a powerful attack. The reason it's probably not an S tier is the sole fact that it can be devastating to not get that kill on night 2. It's such a massive setback that it derails the entire game for you. But the upgrades you get when you get rolling make Berserker probably the most fun Apocalypse roll in my opinion. Whoops, wrong spot. And then transforming into War, it's really difficult to get the War achievements, but I think Berserker and Plague Bearer, they're probably interchangeable. But I think Berserker just having that instant killing power, for me at least, just makes it a little bit better. All right, Conjurer, being able to nuke someone is probably one of the most fun feelings in the game. You nuke them, they go down, they're dead unless they're a transformed Apocalypse. But it can swing the game. You can save it and get majority a little bit earlier, or you can nuke a Town Power who just revealed, prevent them from going into the game any further. Like if a Prosecutor pops out and they get either a teammate or another evil, boom, they can't use their Prosecute anymore. Same thing with Marsh. You nuke the Marsh, nuke the Mayor, someone open claims Jailer, you nuke them. The only thing that is pretty drawback to it is that you have roles like corner who fake claim T-Pow, and if you nuke them and they end up being corner, it sucks a little bit. But I think getting that extra kill, also like Medusa, it's a very easy person to give the book to. Just having someone that isn't held back by having the book, like let's say a Hexmaster, Ritualist is kind of held back having the book, Wildling is held back being the getting the book, Voodoo, Dreamweaver. I feel like having roles that aren't held back by getting the book make Coven roles very powerful. And then here we go with the last neutral evil, Pirate. Pirate can just be one of the most fun roles in the game. Before the rework where you just dueled people and it was basically just rock paper scissors, it was definitely going to be F tier. My name for a while every game used to be Remove Pirate, but after the landlubber change it quickly became one of my favorites. As you can see, I have a decent amount of the games on the channel as Pirate. But Town will usually let you slide if you get found sus, as long as you don't have too many town landlubbers or powerful town landlubbers. But you know, finding landlubbers, killing them, again, those alternate win conditions, Doomsayer, Jester, Pirate, those alternate win conditions are just such a nice change of pace in the game. It makes you feel good when you get that win on your own. But yeah, Pirate, top of the A tier. And now we're going into the S tier. So S tier, these roles are just the top dogs. Like they just do so much work. And first going into the role is Lookout. Lookout, you get to get so much information so quickly. Seeing a lot of roles visit a person is just so powerful. And although it's no longer astral and it can confirm several roles when used in tandem with another TI, like perhaps a spy or a trapper, you just get a lot of information. And this game is all about information. It's all about learning what the other people are doing and using that kind of scum read, see what's happening, see what's fake. So the more information you get, the better the game is. And Lookout being able to gather so much information at one time just makes it really powerful. There's a reason that people ask for a TPLO night one, is because the Lookout is so powerful. So yep, that's Lookout. Next, Hexmaster. Hexmaster, the instant win conditions. So Hexmaster, Soul Collector. Those instant win conditions can change the whole game. And then also having the book makes you astral. But being Hexmaster can take a lost game into a won game just by hexing the right people. It does suck when the people you hex end up dying, but having that instant win condition just makes Hexmaster so good. Maybe it's a little too high. I think the fun aspect of Hexmaster probably isn't as high, but when you get that Hex Bomb, the dopamine hit just so good. It just is such a huge hit. And then, you know, like I said before, the Astral attack can be really nice. Can go on a Veteran. You can go on an Arsonist if they haven't ignited yet. You can be safe from that, so avoid a Trapper. But yeah, getting the Hexmaster, getting that Hex Bomb is just really awesome. It's a Coven power, and the Coven power rules are all very powerful. And that's why they're called Coven power. Next up, we got the Witch. The support that Witch can give is astounding. Controlling a Vigilante or a neutral killing to get an extra kill, stopping a TI from getting information. You can shut down psychics by witching them every evil night, so they're basically useless. But just the disruption of the information is what makes Witch so powerful. But on top of that, learning the role of who you witch, like I said, Soul Collector is the only thing that can mess with that. Knowing the role, it's a little bit more difficult as a potion master because you do know if you got witched. But there's just so many ways to be useful as witch, and I think it definitely deserves its spot as as a second most powerful Coven role. Next up, we got Investigator. Investigator makes 1-for-1s pretty quickly. Early in the game, those 1-for-1s come up really quickly, straight up confirming if they find blood. The thing that drops it probably lower than the Seer, which is coming up. As you can see, it's the last Town Investigative that's still in the game. The reason it gets dropped off is that trespassing stays. So if someone trespasses on a enemy, then that stays the whole game. It just kind of feels bad when you're getting a 1-for-1 early and then you find out that they were actually wrong, and the investigator just kind of gets a little bit less useful as the game goes on. Seer suffers from not being able to use the same person more than once, but I feel like investigator, if you don't really find that 1-for-1 early, it is definitely a lot easier for an evil to fake claim and say they went to an evil if they haven't already been like tracked or seen by a lookout. So that's where investigator goes. Next up is two roles that kind of go hand in hand. Prosecutor and marshal. They are basically interchangeable. They both technically do the same thing. They let you hang one extra person. The reason I probably have marshal a tiny bit higher than prosecutor is that prosecutor, you get to hang one person, but if you're wrong, you don't get that second prosecute. Marshal, you could technically hang four townies, and it wouldn't make a difference. So yeah, it's a little different with the marshal, but prosecutor, you very powerful, marshal very powerful. They're called down powers for a reason, just like the coven powers. But you know, it probably feels a lot better getting two evils as a marshal, or even four evils as a marshal, than getting two evils as a prosecutor. I will say the benefit of the prosecutor is that you get to then vote. So you get to continue voting. Whereas Marshall, you're all in. You vote someone, they get up, they're dead. So that's them. All right, we're getting down to the last three here. We got Coven Leader coming in next. The most powerful Coven role, since it not only becomes any Coven role it chooses, minus the CKs if one already exists, but the ability to make a bad Coven role into something better is just way too powerful to let it be anything other than S tier. Plus, the defense is nice if you want to keep that and not transform yourself, or if you transform like a Dreamweaver and Illusionist, because they're all the way at the bottom. But if you get those, making an Illusionist or Dreamweaver into something else can instantly boost your chances of winning. And the utility to alter your team comp is just so invaluable. So yeah, that's why Coven is the most powerful. Coven Leader, it's Coven Leader for a reason. That's why it's the most powerful. And then runner-up, second place is the Seer. Creates immediate 1-for-1s, can also confirm people really easily. If like someone dies, you automatically know if they're town, if they're friends with a townie, or if they're enemies. If they're enemies with the townie, you just boom, hang them right away. It's the strongest TI without a doubt, and it can easily be confirmed by a tracker. Tracker just sees them visit two people, boom, confirmed. It had to have its usefulness nerfed. To not be checked more than one person, to not be able to check one person more than once. It used to be you could just keep checking and checking and checking the same person. You find a confirmed townie, boom, just keep checking them with everyone else. So it had to be heavily nerfed to reel it back in, but it is still the most powerful TI in the game. And then moving on to the last guy, Jailer. I don't think that's very controversial at all. I don't think that's shocking. Jailer, it is town power for a reason. It can protect. You jail a mayor, keep them protected. Obviously not from a writ, but you can role block someone. You don't have to X them. You can just jail them, see if anything happens. You can kill them if you know they're evil, or if you have a really good idea that they're evil. It is almost inarguably the strongest role in the game, and is definitely the strongest town role. It's basically just a Swiss Army knife. It fulfills the roles of a vigilante, pretty much. It fills the role of a socialite too. It's a town protect in that kind of sense, and that is it. That is we're not gonna put in Curse Soul Vamps, and we're just gonna leave the transformed Apoc roles because I kind of touched on them when I went the individual acolyte roles. But here's the list, and let me know what you think. I like I said, I kind of made them based off of how fun they are to play and how useful they are. But again, this is my opinions. If you have any disagreements, shoot them off. Let me hear them. Good luck in your next games, and we'll see you next time.